Good afternoon. This is Chandra Easton here from Living in Light, esoteric astrologer from starastrologyhealing.com. Just speaking to you about the month that's coming as our sun moves through Aquarius. And I'll be doing this on a week-by-week level. We're just talking about the first week, and this is really from the 20th of January on until the 26th. And I'm looking at the global patterns, and I just thought I'd point a few things out in the chart that I find interesting. So I think I might start by talking about Venus, the fact that it's retrograde, and also the fact that Mercury is retrograde. Now, when planets are retrograde, they invite us to reflect deeply, to look deeply inwards. So we are being invited, and they last for some weeks. I think Mercury's there for about 3 weeks, and I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember how long Venus is retrograde. Has been for a little while. But we're asked to reflect upon our relationships with money and power, and that's the Venus retrograde. And we're asked to reflect upon our ability to think in a holistic, synergistic manner, rather than just think according to the rational 2 + 2 = 4. We're asked to use the whole brain. And of course, this is something that we're invited to do over this next week and the next few weeks while both of these planets are retrograde. Now, Venus is in Capricorn, so the challenge there is to be able to identify the way money is being used as a tool of power. Now, we may be using money as a tool of power over somebody else, or it could be that our governments are using money as a tool of power over us. That's one thing to contemplate. I have cast this chart for Canberra, but what I'm speaking about really affects the whole planet. Mercury in Aquarius, in its highest capacity, is about a holistic approach where we use the right brain, the left brain, the intuition, and we grasp the big picture. But clearly, the fact that it's gone retrograde is an opportunity for us to recognise where we failed to do that, or indeed where the wool's been pulled over our eyes, either with, look, it could be numbers and graphs that we're being shown, statistics. It could be information that's coming on a medical level to us, or through the print media. It could be the print media, particularly in Australia, where the Mercury is sitting high in the chart. It could be that our journalists have been muzzled and that we're not getting the truth. So we just kind of need to do a bit of deep digging for ourselves. Okay, and then we have the Saturn-Uranus square. So Saturn's sitting up here in Aquarius, and it's the red line, if you follow that down here, to the planet Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Now, Uranus in Taurus is the harbinger of change, and the changes that can come about, and it'll be there for quite a while, really up until 2026. There's a long range period of change, but the change that we're feeling at the moment is to move beyond inertia, the way we use our money. So if we've been using our money for luxuries, let's ask ourselves, should we be spending our money on the essentials? One of the things that's happened in Australia, literally in the last day or two, has been that the groceries, the supermarkets have been empty in the major capital cities and no doubt in the regional areas. And the reasons for this are complex, and they go to the heart of the mismanagement of the pandemic, and how there are lots and lots of people who've lost their jobs or who are unable to work because of the government's decisions, or people who are ill and have not recovered, but for a variety of reasons. The truck drivers who can't freely move from state to state to bring the food, but for a variety of reasons, certainly in Australia and no doubt around the world, food is hard to get. So we're coming into a period of food scarcity, and this is very evident. So this is basic things. It could be wheat, could be bread, could be dairy, could be meat, all kinds of things. There are restrictions, and so it behoves all of us to think very clearly about how we use our money, and whether or not we're being manipulated and coerced or corralled or forced with a big stick from governments, around matters to do with livelihood. And these are all the things to do with the Saturn-Uranus square. I mean, let me talk a little bit about Saturn in Aquarius. The absolute best of Saturn in Aquarius would be a futuristic, progressive society that is respectful to all the members of the society, an egalitarian society. The absolute worst of Saturn in Aquarius, and we've been seeing a lot of this, is a vilification of people and a separation and division of society into different stratas based on the supposed experts who are promulgating numbers and graphs and dreadful figures to frighten the populace. And, you know, one has to look and say, well, why is it that the pharmaceutical industry, who are making absolute billions upon billions upon billions, out of a health crisis, get to control the planet and the world, not only in terms of who can work and who can't, and who has money to feed their family and who doesn't, and who can pay the rent and who can't, and where one can travel and where one cannot. And we have been systematically, as a species, duped, really, to believe that if we handed over the power to the governments and to the medical authorities, that they had our best interests at heart. And I think that Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde at the moment are really asking us to question this. Whose interests are driving the crisis and the shutdown and the segregation and the separation? The last thing that I wanted to talk about in this chart is the South Node in the 29th degree of Scorpio. Scorpio is an interesting sign of the zodiac, and it has we have an opportunity to purify the worst of us individually and collectively as a species. And the nodes are an invisible point, and they move backwards through the sign of Scorpio. So they start at 30 degrees, and over the next, what is it? How long does it take for the nodes to get to the end of Scorpio? I can't recall, a couple of years. We will experience a lot of the difficulties that are held in our shadow selves, and the degree that the South Node, the collective point for humanity, is currently in, is the degree of cruelty. So, and it's the past life point. So there's a degree of cruelty that's being promulgated to people worldwide. Now, some people are experiencing cruelty through slavery. Some are experiencing cruelty through being locked up in internment camps. I think of the provinces of Western China. Some people are experiencing cruelty because they've been forced by the governments out of work, and many people have taken their lives. So we are at this dire, dreadful state of affairs with the ramifications of cruelty rolling on out, and somehow or other what's required is a deep, deep contemplative reflection of our values and where and to whom and in what way we cede power. I think that's enough to contemplate for the next week, and I'll continue on with these brief chats around the astrological themes on a week-by-week basis. This has been Chandra Easton from StarAstrologyHealing.com. Connect with me through my Living in Light Facebook page, or elsewhere through my YouTube channel or my internet. That's all. Bye for now.